So what is the actual stuff that we talk about? Well, it depends on the person I'm talking to. I try to talk about their world. I open with this question almost every time of what's on your mind this week. And you will notice that question is not work specific. So if what's on your mind this week is I just moved and my life is chaos right now and that's what's on my mind, okay, I'm going to hold some space for you to talk about that because if you can get that out here in this one-on-one, you don't have to carry it around with you on your shoulders in the rest of your day and you might even get some work done later. It's not a guarantee, but leaving that room for discussing life outside of work, I think also really goes a long way in terms of building connection and trust. I ask a lot of questions in my one-on-ones and I try to talk less than I listen. I'll ask questions like what's depleting you this week? What's energizing you? Sometimes when I ask that question, someone will just sort of stare back at me for a few seconds. And it's really tempting as a manager to jump into that moment and say, well, here's me. I noticed you're working on this project and maybe you've got this thing on your mind. Try to practice sitting with that silence. It is incredibly powerful. And while it is weird and uncomfortable, there's usually something valuable on the other end. So try to get a handle on the communication styles of the people that you're managing and give the quiet people space to think. And they will usually come out with something kind of amazing at the end of it. I also try to keep the focus on both short and long-term things. I tend to over-index on like what's going on this week, but it's good sometimes to pull back up and check in on kind of those long-term goals, projects, aspirations, dreams outside of work. We also talk about problems that I can help with. And I like to say, how can I help? Because sometimes someone will realize, like, oh, you know what? I actually don't need my boss to step in and deal with this. I just needed to kind of get it off my chest, and now I can handle it. And I'm very transparent when I cannot help. I never say I'm going to solve a problem if I actually don't have the power to solve it, because that will erode the trust that you're working so hard to build.